Welcome to another new episode of the APX Podcast. I'm your host, Philippe Soriano, and I have a special guest today. He's a longtime good friend. He's a brother from another mother. We've been friends since college, and we've been a lot through together, and we have reconnected, and somehow we're actually in the same industry as we speak now. So I'd like to welcome Rob. Rob Guanzon. Brother, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Rob Guanzon, and I am in the virtual assistant space, and I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for taking the time and being with us. I know you're such a busy guy, and I figured you wouldn't be asleep till later on tonight. And how long have you been awake?
About 26 hours already.
And that's how you hustle.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a normal Tuesday for Rob. Okay, so I think my very first question to you is, so who is Rob outside the VA world?
Well, outside the VA world, apart from being a dad, a husband, I also have other businesses that I attend to, like construction. I also do a little bit of buy and sell cars. I flip cars and I paint cars on the side.
Wow.
And then during shifts, I detail cars. So, those are the things that I'm doing outside of the VA, as well as, trying to do a deep dive on the possibility of doing some coaching, mentoring in 2024. So that is who Rob Guanzon is.
That's a pretty... How do you find the time to manage all of what you just said? And is that the main reason why you lack sleep?
Well, number one, to answer your question, you have to have a good wife for you to be able to do what I do. So a very supportive wife who is learning the things that you're doing so that she will know how to support you. So that's I think the number one. And finding the time is really more on being passionate about what you do. So when you're passionate about what you do, you're not actually working, right? So finding the balance between mixing the work and things you're so passionate about. That's why, I told you earlier, I'm also detailing cars on the side as my rest whenever I feel like pressured. So, yeah.
Would you consider yourself the ultimate car guy since you do all the painting yourself? I mean, do you even tune cars? Do you still get into that dream that we used to have where, we check out cars, we go to car shows? Is this still a thing?
Well, you know what? It's not really something that I would spend time on, like going to car shows and all that, but I would like my cars to be fierce, like fast. So whatever it takes, like, I pull my wallet out and then just purchase those parts and get them installed. And then, sometimes during the shift, what my wife and I do is like we drive around Mindanao Avenue, Congressional Avenue, and just do a sprint and then go back to the house. That's it. So that's the reason why I have to have like a fast, ferocious car ready.
So ladies and gentlemen, you guys know what a successful VA agency owner is all about. You need to have the right partner. Mm-hmm. Is that the right way of explaining it? Happy wife, happy life?
No, not actually. Well, it's the other way around. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, you're not really, and if you're still in the process of trying to be at the very top, it's the other way around. Happy husband, happy life, because the thing is, I mean, being married and being an entrepreneur are two things that you need to find the perfect science to combine. Because the thing is, if your wife is not interested in what you do, then it's going to be twice the hard work, because you would have to convince your wife every now and then. Whenever you're going overtime, she's not going to understand and you'll have a fight. And so what I did when I entered the space is that I sold the idea to my wife. And, I thank God every day because my wife has always been supportive of me.
Is she part of the business?
Exactly, yes.
I see. Okay.
She knows everything.
So you guys are tag teaming on the VA business.
Exactly.
Then. I guess that's one of the secrets of a really successful VA agency. All right. So why don't we take a deep dive on your VA career? And can you tell us like a brief story on how you decided to start becoming a virtual assistant?
Yeah. So the reason why I decided to try the virtual space is because I detest being told what to do. And I think I was always the guy who thought that he knows more than the boss. Not because of ego or something like that, but because of the fact that I do my own research. So when I was a sales specialist, and anybody can check this in VXI if they can, I was a sales specialist in VXI, and I did 9 sales out of 11 calls. It was supposed to be 10. Only if the credit card did not fail, I was supposed to make 10. But I was the only one in the entire account who did 9 sales out of 11 calls. And to me, that was like a sign that I need something more. I mean, this is challenging, but this is not going to pay rent. This is not going to pay everything else that we need. I mean, this is for single people. And so I had the fiduciary responsibility to find where I can really, exercise my talents and monetize it. But I'm not saying that it was easy, because I resigned from my training. I was promoted first from because of the 9 sales out of 11 calls. I was promoted to training specialist.
Let me pause you there for a bit. So this was a regular 9 to 5 job, and
call center.
Oh, it was a call center, but you basically did sales on a call center, which is, it's not a typical type of position that more regular people would take, right?
Yeah.
Sales is one of the hardest. Was it like this outbound sales?
Dude, it's an inbound account, but felt like outbound, hardcore. For the reason that they're only calling to inquire or clarify what the package is about, but then you would have to sell the idea.
Right.
You would have to sell the idea because they already know what the product is. I mean, they're not dumb, but your job is actually to make sure that they understand what the package, includes.
What type of account was it?
DirecTV. So it was a cable TV. I mean, not really cable, but satellite dish. So there are 2 competitors. And this was very colorful for me because, I created like sense of urgencies, as well as trying to, I created creative ways on how to mudsling the other company, which is Dish Network. One of the famous lines that most people copied from me was like, I understand you like Dish Network, but trust me, you will be disappointed.
The tagline works.
Dude, it's like, boom, and people around me were like standing up and trying to listen how I pitched. And so they copied whatever I said, we understand that you don't want to get it today, but I promise you, if you hang up the phone, as soon as you call, you might be getting charged for $15 for a fee for the cable, extra cable, something like that. So, but you're getting it for free if you give me your credit card information today and secure your order. Damn, bro, like I was like a machine back then. Because the thing is, what I do is I write those things on a piece of paper. After shift, before the shift, I review them until it becomes a habit of me saying those things as a reaction to whatever it is, whatever objection I'll be hearing. So I was promoted to training specialist because of that. So that means less money. And so I met my wife at work.
Oh, it was the same company.
Yeah, it was the same company basically. And what she did was she resigned, and we lived together. And she was really the first person who tested out the virtual space. We were getting paid like $1 per hour. Wow. $1 per hour. And this was 2011, bro. Like $1 per hour. And the it's not really consistent 8 hours per day.
So it was on the call type of job, or was it
exactly like that? So it's like, some days you will eat, some days you will not. And funny thing was, I was a training specialist who's now getting paid less money as opposed to being, a sales specialist, because I didn't have commissions, minus the taxes. And so my wife and I, what we did was we budgeted the money. And so I decided to try the virtual space because I said, I was challenged by the idea that I can get paid more. I guarantee you. So there was like a dare between us.
So this was all new to you, working remotely at home.
Definitely, bro. Definitely.
Well, what was the struggles in looking for your first client or first employer? What was it? Was it like a full-time job or was it a project based?
No. I was trying to shoot for a full-time job or a part-time job or maybe just a project based. But tell you what, no matter how good I was outside of the VA space, dude, no one's hiring me. Every interview I flunked. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I didn't have this, you know? So, I think back then they were like leaning towards hiring women.
So it was actually a thing. If you were, VAs are really fit for women.
Mm-hmm.
And I think employers had it registered in their head that if we were to hire, it wasn't even called VA back then, right? It was called like, what, or was it? Or was it?
Yeah. It's a virtual assistant. It was called virtual assistant. It became popular because of Joe McCall. Joe McCall was a supposed client of mine, but I contract didn't work out. But what he did was lease options in the real estate space. So what he did was he's wholesaling properties virtually, and he hired VAs from the Philippines at $2 an hour. Yeah, so that was so low, man. And he was doing an entire podcast teaching real estate investors how to hire people from the Philippines for $1.50 to $2.50 an hour.
Ouch,
dude,
that's painful.
It is painful
compared to what people can earn these days.
Exactly,
yeah.
right.
Okay.
But so going back, it was a struggle for me because I wasn't really getting a job, and I was jobless for an entire 1.5 years. My wife was basically carrying me on her shoulders like she was the She-Hulk, right? So I was really, frustrated. I was trying to ask myself, question my ability to even close a sale. But, there was one time that someone sent me something, an invitation on Upwork. Finally, my first interview, an invitation to be interviewed. And this dude, I didn't know anything about real estate back then. So he taught me everything I knew. And the good part about this, bro, is he was so satisfied after me being a student, him being my mentor and me being the mentee. He was satisfied on how I handled the learning curve. And so we did our first deal. And after our first deal, he encouraged me to build my own team.
From the very first job that you got?
Yeah.
What kind of position did you get hired for?
Real estate virtual assistant.
And what does a real estate virtual assistant do?
Dude, at the time, I don't know. But now I can explain to you.
So give us like the basics. What
Right.
is a virtual assistant in real estate do?
So you basically do cold calling. You follow up calls. You do follow up calls. You search the MLS for and doing the comps. Like you have to come up with a price point that it would make sense for the real estate investors to purchase the property for, and all other things.
So it's basically sales.
I wouldn't say sales. It's more of like. I could say it's part sales, but part customer service at the same time, because the selling is really done, or the closing is really done by the client. So you're more of like, keeping the lead warm and informed.
Okay, so was that the stepping stone for you to build a VA agency, since he offered, or he suggested that you build a team?
Yeah.
Or was it still, like, how long did it take you to build, like, the very first?
It took us like 6 months, honestly. 6 months. 6 months, because in the first 6 months, we did 4 deals. And out of the 4 deals, I was able to negotiate a price point so beautiful, he sent me a MacBook. So
wow.
I even have the picture. So he sent me a MacBook from the United States. That was painful for me because I paid $18,500 in taxes for me to get that $1,500 laptop. But so that's what happened. The reason why he really sent me that MacBook is because I got him to earn $120,000 in one deal.
Wow, that's
I negotiated a property down from 220 to 110. That's how I got the MacBook.
So are you still with this employer of yours, or was he just one of the employers that you dealt with in the very beginning of your career?
Well, honestly, it's a sad story because we are at the height of our career. We were like taking names, you know. We were like closing a lot of deals. We're doing multiple deals in a month. I think, from my recollection, we have earned $750,000 in one quarter, and this is in gross profit because we have sold a couple properties that were really like bang for the buck. You know, we got them for very cheap, and we were rehabbing them to a point that it can be sold to a higher profit, you know, or for a higher profit rather.
So what changed?
Yeah. So what happened was he passed away to a heart attack at the height of our career together. But he introduced me to so many people. He even introduced me to his meetup group. Like, his meetup group is composed of like 3,000 members. The BWI meetup. You can search that online. So the BWI meetup on Meetup, they have 3,000 members, and every meetup, face-to-face meetup, it's going to house like 200 to 300 people. So there was one time he contacted me live, and he was asking all of his attendees were asking questions to me. So when he passed away, he was bragging so much about me, like he's the shit, you know. And people were curious. So when he passed away, the roadblock is no longer there. People were calling me, bro. We were like at the point where we can no longer entertain new clients because we no longer have VAs. So that was the story.
At the time that he passed, how many did you take under your wing during that time in your agency?
Dude, we had like 15 clients. And those 15 full-time clients, there were still others who were waiting in line. I had a micro mentality back then. I was a new entrepreneur. So I didn't know the difference between my thumb and my toes at that time. But I was afraid to hire more people that I didn't know outside of my network because I was afraid I'm going to get poached. So those fears that I had back then, we were not a registered company back then. So there were still people waiting in line, but 15 was the number.
And to this day, how many do you have under your wing?
To this day, I chose quality over quantity. We currently have 12, the magic 12, as I call them. But I learned to raise my prices, and after realizing what my value is. So we have a very unique workflow system and accountability within Successful Outsource.
As an agency owner, what's your day-to-day operations like?
So our team works 8 hours per day, and that includes paid breaks. So I told them, as much as possible, I don't want them going on breaks without pay, for the reason that I want them to spend as many time as to themselves and to their families as possible. Because what I realized is that when people are being forced to take breaks outside of the working hours that are not paid, they tend to try to cut corners. So from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and this is in Eastern time, this is the entire operation functions. So, however, being the CEO, what I do is I work 6 o'clock Philippine time, and I get off 9 o'clock in the morning Philippine time. And sometimes it gets extended to 12 noon. If I was doing some video editing stuff, or probably PowerPoint presentation, or I was creating a plan or marketing plan for the mentor clients that we have.
As an agency owner, I know running a business has its struggles. So what would you say your main struggles would be as a VA agency owner? Is it usually with your own staff, your team, or is it the clients coming in, or what is it like with your experience?
My experience with that is, I would say 30% is staff related, 60% is yourself. You are creating problems. You are solving problems. But fortunately for me, I'm already past that. Like, I have a great team, as in freaking great team right now. They're like very independent from management. They're very respectful, and they report an hour. They send me a report on an hourly basis via chat on what they're doing and what their accomplishments are. So I have a very, I would say, outstanding team, like a SWAT team of the law enforcement. But majority of the problem is actually within me. So as a VA company owner, I'm not seeing myself as a VA company owner. I'm seeing myself as an entrepreneur. There's a fine line between being self-employed and being an entrepreneur. Okay, so if you're self-employed, you're in a micro mentality level. If you're an entrepreneur, you are in a macro mentality level. So let me give an example. Last year, I was given the opportunity to pitch my company to somebody in the United States to buy it. When he looked at our books, I thought we were already doing good and all that. When he looked at our books and our workflow and in our workforce, what he told me is that, Rob, here's the problem. You don't have a business. You have an income stream. And this is an entrepreneur who's schooling me at that very moment what I had. So what I realized back then, since then, I have been working on converting that income stream into a business. And so I was trying to study, things that I never realized that I needed back then. And now converting my converting my income stream to a business that is following a franchisable model, So that's what I'm currently doing right now.
So define the definition of a business to what you think should be a business.
Okay. So first of all, a franchisable model is what a real business follows, because they're setting the business up for success, like a plug and play model. It's not like tailor fitted, because it's not, you can't do that to all of your clients. Like, you're going to be serving princesses and, people who will send these crazy requests that will pull your hours down. You as a CEO, you would have to focus on that client alone. How can you grow the business if you're just going to be, pleasing one client? How can you multiply that income to proportions if you can't even get out of the phone because the client needs you? So a plug and play model is number one for me. Number two is you have to have a set of SOPs. You can't be training newbies every time that there's a new account. So what we did differently is we set up a library. If it is for social media, there's going to be a video of social media SOPs or lessons that they would need to watch. Day one, this is the videos or set of videos that you need to watch. Day two, this is it. Blah 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 blah.
So it's important to have SOPs
exactly
in line for whatever business it is. It's important to have those files, those videos, just to save time on training.
Right, and then leadership is the last thing. Leadership team. You can't be managing everybody and do the responsibilities of a CEO. It's not your job. It should be the operations manager or a team leader's job who will be answerable to you. So you are passing or delegating the tasks of micromanaging the people to another person or individual that you will be paying a higher rate, so that he or she can do a better job at monitoring the performance, time management, the everything else, answering questions. You're not really micromanaging. So now you're freeing yourself up to thinking about growing the business. So that is your job as a CEO.
What does your agency offer in terms of service?
So what we do is we do administrative assistance. So administrative assistance is more of like the back end support. It may be admin support, non-voice account.
So are these like the generalist VAs that?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's more like that. But the administrative VA is also capable of doing some light social media work. So that's what we do, at least, because there are some people or some agencies or some individuals, individual contractor, who limits their what they'll do for the client. But honestly, with us, we're not really putting a lot of limits or limitations to what we can do.
What are your other focus apart from social media?
So executive assistants, we help out mentors and coach. So these guys are one of the great resources of like client referrals because we sometimes sign their students because they're so pleased with our output, they refer us to their students.
So your agency started first with real estate, then now you guys have more of the admin assistant, then executive. What else?
We have a do-it-for-you social media package wherein we will be doing the content calendar, content pillars, and we will also be researching the competitors. And so we will build a content around that. Plus, there's video editing involved using Adobe After Effects as well as Adobe Premiere.
You guys do video as well.
Absolutely. We do. We even do 3D. You know, we'll make a cartoon out of you, right? So, I mean, yeah, those are the high-level things that we do. We also do websites. So, but these are websites in WordPress for the reason that we want to make sure that we keep everything in-house. If the client needs landing pages done or social media clients needing landing pages done and all that, vice versa.
When hiring VAs, what are the qualities you look for in one candidate?
I like underdogs. I don't know what it is about me. Maybe because I've been like that as well before and someone believed me. I really liked underdogs. I mean, I don't really exclude them from the equation. But the most important thing for me, or the one that I look for, is the ability to express themselves, maybe in our native tongue or in English. I just want to make sure I can get a preview of what the logic is inside here. So I ask them some perplexing questions, or sometimes I have a set of jokes that I can't really say here. But, you know, if I'm talking to a guy, you know, those are things that I'll know that this guy is fast, you know. They're quick, they're aware. Their conscious mind is really, you know, up there. So, yeah, it's more of like me, the consciousness is number one. And the ability to express themselves.
What's your top 3 advice for aspiring VAs?
Okay. Now, this is going to be a little touchy, okay? I've been paid way less than what you're getting paid now. So trust me when I say this. It's okay to know your worth, but make sure the value you provide is way more than what you're asking for. Because at the end of the day, if your clients are not profitable, you might be getting paid $15 an hour, $18 an hour, $20 per hour, but for how long? Are you going to be shooting for the longevity of the business relationship, or are you just going to be getting whatever you can, or going to loot the client's wallet without being able to provide something that can make or generate the money for you to continue your business venture or business relationship together? That's number one. It's okay to know your worth, but be sure that you can provide more value than what you're asking for. That's very important. Number 2, don't look at the time. Don't look at the time. I mean, I've been doing this for, 13 years, but I still feel like I'm gonna learn a lot more than what I know now. I never look at the time. I never. If you don't like what you're doing and you don't love what you're doing, you're definitely gonna look at the clock. But most people who succeeded, like for example, Michael Jordan, he practices so much hours on the court. He doesn't look at the time. Practice until it becomes a habit. And then in our case, as VAs, research until it becomes our stock knowledge. So that is a very important tip that I would like to send out to all these new bloods right now. Don't look at the time. Always practice, always research, always write new things that you learn and exercise them the next day.
What's the most important advice that you give to a VA?
Integrity. Maintain your integrity. A lot of people exchange their integrity for a couple bucks and then destroying their names afterwards. So just try to do your job and maintain honesty in everything that you associate yourself with, so that words will spread about you. You know, you will get clients out of referrals. You will wake up one day receiving a text message or email from your client saying that, hey, I have a friend that I want to introduce you to, and so on and so forth. Same thing that happened to me.
Give me your top 3 advice for aspiring VAs who want to set up their own VA agency.
Okay. I'll make it sweet and short. Number 1, don't poach a client. Okay? So be friends with everybody. Make sure everybody is gets their fair share, and then you all eat together. So that's a golden rule. Don't be greedy. Number 2, make sure your people are paid well. So because what's going to happen is that you will create your agency, and then let's say you become successful in 2 or 3 months, and then you will have a fallout between you and the VA just because they think they can get paid more. So just make sure you have an open communication and you're setting the right amount of goal or time when they can get paid more, or if you want to set the parameters when or how they can get paid more. And lastly, seek help. Don't try to do it on your own. I mean, you could be like Nostradamus, wherein will determine your future, but dude, don't be that person who's going to be a hit and miss. Number 1, you're playing with your money. You're probably going to play with other people's money because you'll find investments and all that. And you're playing with your employee's future as well as your client's future. So there are a lot of people involved in this business, or in any business for that matter. And you have to have an accountability, a really tight-knitted accountability to each and every one that you're going to be working with, maybe under you or over you, above you. So I would say seek help. Do an extensive research if you don't want to pay somebody to help you. Yeah. So I think you will avoid a lot of heartaches if you do that.
So we got some genuine advice from Mr. Rob Guanzon. Tell me, how do we get in touch with you? How do clients get in touch with you? Do you have a website? Do you have socials?
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is www.successfuloutsource.com. And you can always shoot me an email at rob@successfuloutsource.com. So if I can tell them what I do on the side, relating to everything VA. So if you guys are looking for like mentoring on, either how to set up a VA company, or probably you have a VA team that needs training, you can always reach out and inquire about those.
Brother, thank you for taking the time to get to this podcast interview. I appreciate everything you do, and I know you lack sleep and all that. For people who wants to, work with Rob, right, to the clients and VAs, just contact his socials. I will put it in the description, and thank you again.